One of the most empowering things for me has been that I have not felt at any time that I'm below anyone. I have never throughout my whole life felt that I'm below anyone. I know that the whites that came to our country where I grew up in Kumbu, in Banso, as missionaries, is true. They were missionaries, and so they probably behaved well, acted well, and so on and so forth. Those whites were nice, and they gave us sweets. They gave us, a few nice things. They would share things we never saw before, and so on and so forth. But generally, I felt like everybody should be nice. It's their responsibility to be nice. Why should they not be nice? And we too were nice because if we had stuff, we would give them. They would take them to the villages and they would like to eat the guavas and the oranges. So we were also nice. They were nice in their way, in their own way. We were nice in our own way. So I've never felt inferior to anybody. I've never really felt inferior. That's one of the uh, how do I call it? The superpowers that this generation has. If you find anyone in this generation, especially our generation, who really still feels inferior to Caucasians, then that person has a big problem with their mindset and their perception and what they have understood. I feel that I've grown up in a situation where I could have access to information, I could have access to the things that I needed to be who I wanted to be. I never felt like anybody was suppressing me. But as I grew up and started learning, it looked more like there were systematic ways to suppress me. And as I got to understand more and more of the way the world works and so on, it became more apparent to me indeed that there is something wrong somewhere. I personally don't feel that there's anything wrong with me or there's anything wrong in me, but I feel that there is something wrong systemically. And I've been learning. And that's why the first thing I want to say in terms of how Africa must rise is that we need to be educated. We need to be educated. I'll tell you, it doesn't matter whether it's those in Europe or it's those in Africa that have broken boundaries and created impact, global impact, whether you're talking about Nelson Mandela, whether you're talking about Aristotle, whether you're talking about people anywhere in the world, there is one specific thing you need to know. When someone gets educated, they can write their own ticket. When someone gets educated, they can do so many things. When you get educated, your heart can get educated, your mind can get educated, your systems, your spirit gets educated. We need to grasp as much education as possible. If there is something you could do with your free time, is to get educated. We have limited time in our lives to create impact. We do have enough time to create impact, but we have limited time to raise ourselves up to be ready for the impact we need to create. And that is through education. And I'm not talking about formal education necessarily. I'm talking about the ability to expose yourself to a lot of education. Nelson Mandela was the first to get a degree in his family and essentially around the entire tribe. And he didn't just get his degree, a law degree. He realized that he needed to create a law firm. And when he created a law firm, he realized he can't just work his money, build his house, live normally, and try to be like a successful person, buy a car, and so on. He realized there was something more that his people were going through apartheid in South Africa that he needs to step in to try to